We've had about a 2-month plan getting us ready to play. I think we approached everything right. We did a lot of strength and conditioning stuff early. We started getting into some OTA type practices, and then some. We went slow with helmets. We put on uppers. We went full a couple of times and had a mock game on Friday night, and I felt like our guys were ready to play. So, when the Memphis stuff kind of broke a little bit, I was concerned a little bit, and then had an opportunity to get this thing going, and we jumped on it. I think it's good for college football. We need games right now, and we're ready, and Baylor's ready. So let's line up and play. We obviously got history with them. Old Southwest Conference games. There's a lot of familiarity with our staff and their staff, and with our players and their players. And with our fan base and their fan base as well. So it made sense to us and made sense to Baylor. So let's get it scheduled and make it happen. And cooperation with coaches and administrators, that happened pretty quickly.
Hey, next up, Rob Sellers, 247 Sports. Rob, when you're ready, go ahead and fire away.
Thanks, Tyler. Coach, I just want to kind of ask, in terms of how quick this turnaround is in getting ready for Baylor, what was the schedule like this weekend once you did get the news that it was going to be Baylor, and just how many hours you think you guys would have to put in beginning this weekend in order to get ready in such a short time frame?
It's a normal game week. We've worked on so many short weeks around here in the short time that I've been here that a normal game week is like awesome. So we practiced Friday night, had a heck of a mock game. I was happy with the work. Had planned on giving them Saturday off, so we took Saturday off. That was their one off week for that past week. And then we came in here on Sunday, and we had a normal Sunday. Usually Sundays are getting rid of the previous game. So a lot of times I come in here on Monday morning, and that's when I start preparing for our opponent. Now there's a lot of things that need to happen with quality control and graduate assistants and stuff to do the prep, to get everything ready, to figure out who they are and to figure out what games you're going to use and who the coaches are and what the schemes are, what the systems are. There's a lot of that stuff. Well, those guys came in here Saturday. When I thought this was going to happen on Saturday, then I immediately got those guys in here and we started doing a lot of prep, on what to expect. And then when I went in there on Sunday, we were able to work on exclusively Baylor all day yesterday. So I feel like we're ahead, to be honest with you, than what it is sometimes on a game week. And I'm sure they're no different. I mean, they didn't play here this past weekend either. So when they figured it out on Saturday, I assume they started watching a bunch of our stuff. They've probably got a little bit of an upper hand right now, just based on, knowing who we are and having a year to be able to look at us, where we don't have a year to be able to look at them. We got to go back to, where their coordinators are at and what their history was and stuff, which took us probably a little bit longer than them, but feel good about where we're at.
Mark Berman, Fox 26, go ahead.
Dana, you touched on it a little bit. What are the challenges preparing for a first-year coach program like that, along with you're traveling for the first time with all the protocols and everything that's going with that as well? What are the challenges there?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's challenges every time you play, period. So, is it better to not know a few things about them, or is it better to have continuity for the last year and a half? If I was to pick, I would pick continuity over the last year and a half, So, Dave Aranda's a heck of a football coach. I was with him at Texas Tech back 20 years ago. I've known him for a long time, followed his career. One of the smartest guys that I've met, and just his track record defensively is really obviously pretty good. Just with what they've accomplished at LSU and his previous stops has been outstanding. So he's going to get those guys going. Then you got Larry Fedora on offense. I've known Larry for a long time as well. His track record as a head coach and an offensive coordinator is as good as anybody. So. They'll be able to get those guys going pretty quick. If I had to choose, I would choose continuity and a lot of logged reps. We had a whole year Didn't change anything and had a good spring practice and didn't change anything, and then have had a good couple of months as well. So I think we'll be ready to play. The challenges of traveling, there's probably going to be some things that I'm not going to know about. And as the week goes on, there's probably going to be some things that are going to come up that we're going to have to deal with. The one thing that we've learned in 2020 is you better be ready to deal with things. I mean, that's all we've done is deal with things and change schedules and learn how things work and deal with the pandemic and shut things down and start things up and learn how to operate. And I think we've done a really good job of it here over the last couple of months. So I anticipate no hiccups here moving forward this week. If there is, we'll deal with it. Everybody's dealing with it, and we're no different. We're going to have to deal with it as well.
Thanks, Mark. Andy Yanez, Daily Cougar, go ahead.
Yeah, Dana, my question for you is, can you just talk to me a little bit about Clayton Tune? What have you seen from him during practice, and what do you expect from him to start this season?
Well, he's finally starting the year as a starter. That's first things first. It's his team. Was named one of the early captains, and is getting all the reps and not looking over his shoulder or anything like that. So, I think Clayton's in a really good spot. He's an intelligent young man. His body feels really good to him. His familiarity with the offense and the receivers is better than it's ever been. I like what I see from a timing perspective out there. He's running things well, and he's got the ear of the team, and he's got the respect of the team. So, I think that's going to allow him to be able to be himself and continue to get better. Really excited about watching him play.
Next up, John Warner, Waco Tribune. John, go ahead.
Yeah, Dana, you mentioned about coaching with Coach Aranda at Texas Tech. What was he like as a young coach? And obviously that staff has produced a lot of head coaches. Why do you feel like that has happened?
Well, I don't remember a whole lot about him, honestly. I followed him more and had small conversations with him. Knew he'd be a successful coach. Just was incredibly intelligent. He was a graduate assistant. He was only on the staff for 1 year and moved on because he was ready to move on and do some good things. So just have followed him and watched him, and his success is not surprising based on how intelligent we thought he was. He's had incredible amount of success as a defensive coordinator. Over the last 20 years, he's done well. So, Baylor had a lot of success with a defensive-minded head coach in Matt Rule. It's not surprising to me they went out there and got another one. So he's fitting in with what they do with their scheme and their personnel, and he's going to have a ton of success. So. It's been such a long time ago. I don't remember a whole lot, just as far as the small things, as far as him being on a defensive GA and me being on the offensive side. But just following what he's done, he's had a tremendous amount of success.
Next up, Stephen Hawkins, AP. Stephen, go ahead.
Hey, Danny, you were talking a minute ago, obviously, about the familiarity of Houston and Baylor, but you've got some familiarity, obviously, from the Big 12. And Charlie Brewer, I know you didn't see a whole lot of Charlie, but I'm sure you remember the game. He threw 2 touchdowns late. How have you seen his development and what he's done and where he's at as a senior for that team?
Yeah, he's a gritty kid now. No crossover last year, but a couple years ago, they came to Morgantown and we were a little bit on fire at that point. But the previous year when West Virginia went to Baylor, we were beating them pretty good, and they put him in there, and he almost brought them back to win. So he's played a lot of football. He's a smart kid, Texas high school football, with a lot of snaps and a lot of grit. So he's leading this Baylor team right now, and he's a guy that we're going to have to pay close attention to.
Thanks, Stephen. David Hell, ESPN.com. David, go ahead when you're ready.
Hey, Dana. I talked to Mac Brown earlier, and he said that after their game on Saturday, he surveyed his players and said, when did you truly believe that you were going to get out on the field and play a football game? And he said the majority of them said maybe a week to 10 days beforehand. Given that you guys have obviously had a lot of ups and downs in your early scheduling, how aware do you think, or how prepared do you think your guys are, or how much have they been preparing for this with all the sort of ifs and ands and will it happen and won't it happen?
Yeah, David, a lot of uncertainty, and I just told him, look, man, we just got to stay ready. And when I was talking to him on Friday during our mock game and everything, I mean, there was a lot of Memphis stuff floating around out there at that point. So I'm like, guys, we got to worry about us now. And no matter what happens, this next, 2-3 hours is about us and game day preparation and sideline preparation and sideline substitutions and special team stuff. And all that stuff's going to be good for us when we play. And there's things that we can't control. I think the one thing that we've learned in this 2020 pandemic is you better be willing and able to change schedules and readjust and keep moving forward and keep working on yourself and just staying ready to go, and a day later, we're scheduling Baylor, and then a day later, which was last night, I think was the first time that our players actually believed that we were going to go play a game, and so I sensed. That's why I said earlier, I would if Memphis got canceled and I had to practice them for another week without playing a game, I didn't know how I was going to approach that yet. Based on, I thought they would kind of look at me and say, why do we got to do this again? So being able to schedule something that's going to happen, I think gave our team a little bit of juice. And I think last night for the first time was the first time that they thought I wasn't just kind of fooling them, so. Hopefully that puts us in a good spot to where we go out there and have a good week of preparation and go in to play a Baylor team that's coming off one of their best seasons in the history of their program.
Cool. Thanks, David. Sam Kahn, ESPN.com. Sam, when you're ready, go ahead.
Hey, Dana. When it comes to scheduling, this thing obviously came together so quickly. I know you've been around long enough to know how far in advance these things go. Would you prefer that, and obviously not this fast, but would you prefer that scheduling is done in a little bit shorter intervals than it's currently done?
Yeah, the NFL does it like that. Why can't college football? I think it's awesome. One, it's possible, and two, it's pretty awesome. To be able to. I mean, there's a lot of history and a lot of familiarity with Baylor and Houston. Why not play that game? So. I don't know, why we got to schedule some teams 10 years in advance and all that. I don't know. That ain't for me to figure out. People say that, it's not possible to be able to do this. Well, it is possible because we kind of do it in the bowl season. I mean, those things come together pretty quick, and the NFL, they bring these things together. When do they release their schedule? Like February, March or something like that. So, I mean, it can happen. It's just a matter of administrators want it to happen or not. I think it's good for college football. I think it's good for our fan bases as well.
One quick follow-up, kind of on an unrelated note. When it comes to Clayton, I know it's early and maybe too soon to know this, but have you guys had any conversations about him possibly using that extra year that guys are going to get as a result of the recent legislation that was passed about eligibility?
Well, yeah, we had kind of just moved on from trying to get that year back. He's played – he played in 7 games last year and 5 games the year before, and he's on track to graduate. And having 2 full years would give him a pretty good college career. Well, with this year not happening, he's like, well, I guess I finally get my year back. So however many games we end up playing this year is just going to be a bonus. And then he's got 2 years to play after that. At the end of the day, if he uses this year and the next 2 years, that's going to be about as many games as a college football player could play in his career. So ended up working out like that. I think with that rule, we've talked a lot about this as a staff. I think everybody's going to be different. There's going to be kids that are going to take advantage of it, and there's going to be some that are not going to need to. A guy like Marquez Stevenson, I mean, he's a 5th-year senior, going to graduate and have a heck of a year and then move on. There's some guys that weren't able to redshirt that actually still need the year, 1, to be able to graduate, and 2, to be able to maximize their college career. So I think each one's going to be different. Whether Clayton ends up using that 3rd year from now or not, has that option, which I think is good for him and good for college football.
Thanks, Sam. Ryan Moncho, GoCougs.com. Ryan, go ahead.
Dana, when did you first hear about Baylor being a possibility, and did you have any part in putting that together?
We had conversations. I believe I called Chris Pesman. I believe I called him Friday night, because all that stuff was kind of floating around on Twitter with Memphis, and I knew Baylor wanted a game. I'm not necessarily wanted to play us or whatever that was. I just knew they needed one. So, I said that a couple of weeks ago, not knowing what was going to happen with Memphis. So we had conversations, and then Pez took it from there and made it happen. So, thankful for our administration to be able to get this done on short notice. I just felt like after that mock game on Friday night that no matter what, we wanted to play. So needed to play next week, and it came together, and I'm thankful it did.
Thanks, Ryan. Up next, Brooke Bedsnard from Baylor Vision. Brooke, go ahead.
Hi, Coach. Was there any change? Obviously, playing a Big 12 school, the non-conference teams have to abide by the Big 12 testing of the 3 times a week. Is that a change for your program, or is that something that you guys have already been doing in regards to the COVID testing?
Yeah, that's been put in place in the American Conference for quite some time now. So that's the way we've been doing things here is done right, first class, and that it's no change for us moving forward.
No, Mark Berman's got another follow-up. Mark, if you're ready, I'll let you fire away for Coach.
Yeah, hang on here a second. A couple things, Dana. First of all, can you tell us about the mock game on Friday and how important that was? And secondly, process of picking your captains and how important that is to have those captains in place.
Yeah, we've picked them a little different this year than I have in the past. It seems like a lot, right? We end up with 8 guys. I picked 3. We picked 3 early, and then we picked more on Friday, and announced those guys during the mock game. And I think it's a little bit of a trend right now in college football to get as many people as you can possibly get to be able to lead your team. The one thing about it is I think in basketball they have 2 captains. Well, there's only 12, 15 on the team. NFL has got like 5 or 6, and there's about 55 on the team. Well, there's 115 student athletes on our team. So the more guys that I have that want to lead, that want a voice, that want to, that want to do things the right way for the sake of the program, the better for me. And I'm thankful this year that we got quite a few of them that are in that position. When the team voted, it was pretty close with the rest of those guys. So we just added them all. The old school way of our team captains, really only responsibility is to go to midfield to flip a coin, is long gone. That's long gone. So the more guys that you can have to help lead, I think the better. And those guys are pretty important to me and pretty important to our program, pretty important to the University of Houston, to where, they're going to be wearing that C on their chest, and it's going to make things easier.
What about the mock game and how important that was?
It was good. Just, it would have been tough to go out there and it's not what you think it is. It's not a scrimmage. We're not lining up and beating each other up. It's all real logistics more than anything. It's locker room logistics. It's warm-ups, how you go through a warm-up. It's what the sideline organization is. It's, substitutions on and off the field, that sort of thing. So, regardless of what we were going to do moving forward, that was something that was going to need to be done anyway. So I was really happy with how that played out, and I felt like we're ready to go.
Thanks, Mark. Got 2 more. Joseph Duarte, I'll let you go next, and Matt Mosley will come to you to close it out. JD?
Hey, Dana, having Speedy back and then the ability to add someone like Marcus Jones, what does that do for you in the return game, just to knowing that teams won't necessarily get to kick away from one guy because you have 2 quality returners back there?
It's exciting. Obviously we know what Marquez can do, but people forget what Marcus Jones did at Troy 2 years ago and 3 years ago. He was an all-conference kick returner. He's very gifted with the ball in his hands. His ball skills is very good. He's a very headsy, intelligent football player. He's one of the many guys that we've added on our team that we haven't seen play yet. So, I'm excited about where we're at special teams wise. Got a guy like Bryson Smith who's done some things too. Pepe Williams had a heck of a game against Tulsa in the return game. So we got dudes back there. As I've said many times, it's not always about the guy with the ball. I mean, you got to have 10 other guys that are doing their part and taking pride in what we're asking them to do. We've worked hard on special teams, and I think we're going to be good on special teams again. We won us some games last year, and looking forward to watching those guys this year. Got some key guys coming back. Got a lot of depth. Dalton's had a really good camp. Lane Wilkins is the Australian kid that comes in that has a big leg. So we got specialists. As I've said many times, it's more about those other 10 than it is about them at times. So if we can put a good product out there, having guys take pride in what they do, I think people will be excited about what they look like.
Last one, Matt Mosley, Texas. Matt, go ahead.
Dana, do you bring in one of your SWC historians or anything this week? Obviously, Klingler, Ware, some great names, J.J. Joe over the years. Anybody you can bring in to talk to your guys, or do they even care about the history?
That's already happened, honestly. That was one of the things I did in the spring. We didn't have a very good opportunity to be able to do that here in the camp, but in the spring we did a lot of that. I had about 20 former players on a Zoom call talking about some of that stuff, and so we've had Klinger talk to the team and Andre talk to the team, and a lot of the former great players like Case Keenum and Sebastian Vollmer, and the list goes on and on. We've done that. I've gave them the history of the Southwest Conference and how the Big 12 was formed, so it'll probably get revisited here pretty quick.
All right, I think Ware put about 66 on Baylor one time, so you might want to share that with him.
Yeah, when he was talking to the team, I think he was shooting a 66 in golf too.
All right, hey, thanks, Dana.
All right, man.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys joining this week, and we'll see you guys back next Monday. For our other availabilities, I'll send you guys out a Zoom link for assistants on Tuesday and student athletes on Wednesday. So if you guys need anything, don't hesitate to reach out to me or Andrew. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Yep.